We are back with another edition of the Quarantinecast. I'm joined today by former Invicta Atomweight Champion and current UFC strawweight, Jinh Yu Frey. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. So I'm up in Canada, so we're still kind of in lockdown. Things are crazy. You get to kind of enjoy a little bit more freedom. But for the past year or so, what's life been like down there?
For me, it hasn't really been that much different. Like I wasn't just like a hugely social person. Like I'm not out, in bars or whatever. So really life is pretty much the same for me. Like I go to training and then, I'm at home, with my family and my dogs most of the time. So it really hasn't been like that crazy different for me. I know for people like my husband, he's like totally a social person. And so he's struggling. But for me, I'm like, this is everyday life.
I love it. It's been like this past year for you professionally has been great. You got signed to the UFC. You've gone 2-2. Past 6 months, I'd say, has been more successful than the first 6 months. But how do you assess your 2020 professionally?
Yeah, it's definitely had its highs and lows. Like you said, I got signed to the UFC, and I started off 0-2. That was really hard for me. The first fight I took on like 5 days notice, and I wasn't very vocal about it, but I'd had like a really bad injury. I had like 4 bulging discs in my neck. And so, after the last time I fought for Invicta in February, like I stopped training. I had sat and actually kind of contemplated maybe retiring, just because, neck injuries can be serious. And, it really came down to, do I want to risk spending the rest of my life in chronic pain? And so, I took a step back and, all the quarantine stuff and lockdowns happened. And so it kind of gave me like a perfect time to, stop training because most of the gyms were closed, and, just take a little while to heal and reflect on what it is that I really wanted to do. And we were actually on like vacation. We had, some friends of ours had rented a cabin like out in the mountains. And so we had gone out there, we were spending time with friends and family when I got the call. And so, literally haven't been training in like 4 months, and, indulging that weekend and, lots of wine and s'mores around the campfire, when I got the call. So it wasn't the most like ideal situation, but, my husband and I were like, well, is there ever going to be a perfect moment? Do we let this opportunity pass us by in the hopes that maybe you'll get another call again later? Or, do we just bite the bullet and say, let's be strategic about this. Maybe you possibly take a loss, in your UFC debut, but you earn yourself a contract. So, we went ahead and we bit the bullet and, gave it our best shot. And so I ended up dropping that one. And then for whatever reason, like I really just kind of started to struggle with, I feel like probably the mental game of it, like just knowing that I lost my UFC debut and that was like the biggest stage of my career. Like I was so upset about it. And, then I got to fight for Fight Island, and that whole ordeal, like it's cool to say I got to fight on Fight Island, but like in practice, the whole thing was just kind of a mess. Like it wasn't the best situation for me. Like I fought at like 4 a.m. their time. Like I'm up all night, just like chugging espressos, trying to stay awake. Like, anyways, the whole ordeal was like a huge mess. And I think I let a little bit of the anxiety and just the pressure of having lost my first one get to me. And then, I dropped that one too. So like I said, it was kind of a rough time for me, but, I think maybe I'm starting to find my groove. I'm starting to get comfortable at strawweight now. And, I'm excited for what the future holds.
I was watching an interview of yours about a year ago, where you were talking about your neck injury, and I think your doctor said part of it had to do with the weight cut. Do you find that now that your weight cut is just to 115, that the neck seems to be not as bad?
Yeah, I mean, I still do a lot of like preventative care for it. So like even if it's not bothering me, like I have like it's kind of like a traction device, and I'll use that. And I'll use like tons of CBD and just, like I have an icing machine. Like I do tons of stuff for it. Even when it's not feeling bad, just preventatively. But I think definitely like not cutting, I mean, I was cutting about 18 pounds, a fight camp. And, for someone who's, that's over 10% of my body weight. And it was a lot. It took a lot out of me. And, I can't imagine that it was good for like my joints and ligaments and connective tissues and, everything involved.
Now you're on a 2-fight win streak. You had a huge win a couple of weeks ago. How do you feel now, knowing that you're kind of got your groove again, you got your mojo, you're on a 2-fight win streak?
It feels good, and it feels like, the world is my oyster again. Like anything can happen from here. That was the last fight on my contract, and so I haven't really pressed the issue. I'm just going to kind of let things happen. Let the UFC make contact with my manager and let them discuss things on their own time. I'm kind of just enjoying the moment because I feel like it was a long time coming. So yeah.
In the post-fight presser, you were, I'd say, critical of your performance. You were upset you didn't get the finish. I mean, Ashley Yoder is very difficult to put away. Now that you've kind of let things sink in the past 2 weeks, how do you feel now looking back at that performance?
I still am a little disappointed I didn't get to finish. That was something that I'd been talking about with my mental coach. I'm like, it's all of my fights, my last like 10, I don't even know how many, probably 10, have all gone to decisions. I want to finish. I started my career early. In my amateur career, I was getting a lot of finishes, and, I know I'm capable of it. So I'm, that's what I want. And, in the Gloria DePaula fight, it was super close. The rear naked strangle was super close. I feel like in this one, I had her rocked a couple of times. I feel like it was super close. I'm still a little disappointed that I didn't get the finish, but, like I said, it's right there both times. So, I'm getting closer and closer.
You said that, your contract's still not signed. It's with your management team. Ideally, it'll be re-signed. And do you feel like, now is the time to start going for the girls in the top 15. I mean, I don't want to throw out a number here, but you are 36. Do you feel like now is the time to aim for the girls in the top 15?
We're kind of on the fence about it. Like you said, it's not like I have this like lengthy career ahead of me where I have plenty of time to like pick and choose fights. But also, it's like I've just started to kind of get my groove too. And yeah. So I'm like, well, it's a hard decision to make. And I don't know. I don't know if I want to immediately start calling people out, because it's like I finally just started to get some wins under my belt. Maybe just let the path take me where it goes versus, immediately trying to make noise and get out on social media and start calling people out, which calling people out has never really been my thing anyway. So I don't know. We're still kind of on the fence about it. Since the fight, I've just told my husband and like my manager, like, I'm not going to press things. I'm just going to kind of relax, breathe for a minute, and just see how things unfold.
You're coming up here on the 12-year anniversary of your MMA debut. What's been the biggest change in women's MMA the past 12 years?
There's just been so much more opportunity. I think, it's been an uphill battle for women's MMA. Like, you still have so many people who kind of look down on women's fights and that sort of thing. But I think we're slowly starting to chip away, and people, are getting to where they actually enjoy women's fights. They, want to see them on the main card, and they want to see, highly skilled women competing.
You've had the opportunity to compete in South Korea once. You are of Korean descent. Is that something that you look at and you're like, I want to do that again, maybe just one more time before all is said and done? Or are you whappy with just the one stint in Korea?
Obviously, I think I'd probably like to try it again. I'd like to get a win in South Korea. The last time I was there, things went horribly wrong, but and, I think maybe this time it would be different because I'm not cutting an excessive amount of weight. The flying across the world and dealing with jet lag is still pretty difficult, but doing that plus cutting the weight, it's like cool to go and fight somewhere in a new country, but it's like so much pressure that you're dealing with when you're dealing with all those things. So now that, I don't have this like massive weight cut to deal with, and I can just go and, focus on getting myself situated after the jet lag and focus on fighting. I think it would be a much better experience. And, like I said, I'd like to get a win in South Korea.
I love it. I'll ask a couple more, and then I'll let you go. There are some hurdles still to go through here, but when is the ideal timeline for your return?
I wouldn't mind fighting one more time this year, like sometime in the fall. I've had to miss a lot of like Thanksgivings and Christmases. So ideally I'd like to not have to skip out on Thanksgiving or Christmas. I don't know if that's asking too much to be able to hit both of those, but I think I'd like to fight one more time this year. It's crazy since I've been in the UFC. It's the most active I've ever been, but I think that's largely due in part to not having these huge weight cuts that take so much energy out of me. And, I've got some momentum going. I'm in a good place. And so I might as well keep that momentum going.
All right, perfect. And then is there anybody you want to thank or social media you'd like to plug before we end it?
Just my teammates and, my friends and family and everybody who stood behind me on this journey. There's been a lot of ups and downs, and it's been a long journey, but those people who are my support system, who are around me, who always have positive and honest things to say and tell me, I appreciate those people.